If you or somebody screwed up e-collar training for your dog, we can change that in a couple of steps so that way your dog is like mine, where they literally come over, they go, put this thing on me, let's go have fun. But first we need to establish what is your intent behind e-collar training, because if it's to do that, put the collar on the dog and punish them, of course they're going to be scared to put the e-collar on. It can be so much more than just a corrective tool. Now, I'm all for correcting dogs as well with an e-collar. I think it's a very quick, efficient way to say no, but I primarily am using it like a leash where I can use a small amount of pressure or as much pressure as I need to go, hey, give me your attention. And I can also, stop things like this, like biting, although this isn't really biting and normally we're roughhousing pretty good. So step one in this process is you have to change your pattern. Change where you're putting the tool on the dog. If your dog sees the collar and immediately runs away, we gotta change that pattern. So that way they're not just repeating the same thing over and over again, reinforcing that mindset of this is a bad thing. It's about shifting the perspective of this. Probably the fastest, easiest mindset shift is we're going outside. So step one is mindset. Step two is put a leash on the dog. Even if you're going to do it while playing, having a leash on the dog. So that way, if you accidentally make this too engaging and they get overstimulated and want to run away, repeating that same old pattern of I see the thing, I run away, I see the thing, I get scared. Having a leash, Pipa, on the dog first. Now that can be as they're coming out of the kennel, that can be as you're about to go out the door. That's probably the easiest thing. This followed by that for step two. Leash on, have that control, then introduce the collar as we're on our way out. So if I was doing it with her here, I would maybe even open the door before I even brought out the e-collar. But she can't go away. And of course, when in doubt, you can always use food. You're not going to screw things up by using food, by giving her a treat as you're about to do this thing. So I've got the door open here. Now, if you see too much stress and the dog wants to back away, you can just put it on as soon as you get outside as opposed to doing it inside. You can literally put the tool on as you're halfway down the block and slowly work your way backwards to we're in the house and I'm able to put it on and there's no stress. It might come in incremental steps. And my favorite thing personally is when the dog will, as you would have seen with her, is put the tool on yourself. So you just get that treat, make your collar into a loop. And if you don't have one of these bungees, you can still do it with a full-size collar, but it can't really be cut too short. So you just hold it like this, and the dog has to put their own head through. I'm not doing there's none of this action. That is what freaks out most dogs. I'm moving away from here. And I might honestly just feed, I might not even be able to put the whole thing over. It might just be there. And then eventually there, and then there, and then, so each time I'm letting go. And then putting on and tightening up as the dog is chomping away or licking at a licky mat or something. What are all the things that my dog loves to do? I'm going to associate this with, this break. Even at a distance, as in like the e-collar's over here, Pipa, and we're playing ball. Just having it around, moving it so that it's not the scary snake. So it's a mindset shift for you when food is happening. Now, in my eCollar 101 program, it's very much pairing this with the sensation of this anyway, with food. But if your dog is scared of even having this thing around, putting it on your dog and then giving them a free full bowl of food, they might not eat. They might get too stressed out. Now, the next phase for actually getting the dog to feel the stimulation, I often recommend this to clients that are working one-on-one that skipped a step or two, and sometimes it just accidentally happens. You're working multiple dogs and one dog works really high and the other dog works really low and you hit the wrong dog on the wrong button. That can happen. The next step is that you're reconditioning the response to the sound of the click of the button and the fact that it's in your hand. So it would be set to 0, make sure it's not set on vibration mode, and the thing's just here in your hand and you're reconditioning tap, come, food. It's at 0 though, like literally, but it can get to that point where the dog just sees the thing and they get skittish and they get nervous. But you can totally change this with just come, tap, food. And then you can go tap, food, and you don't even have to say come. It's about just them seeing it, come, tap, food, them thinking that it's there, having it here, being able to pet the dog with the remote, making sure that there is no discomfort with the thing. And in these sessions, as they progress, you can take the collar off and then work them up to putting it on while you're doing these things, still at 0. All right, and step 5, again, I would really recommend doing this, and even step 4 outside. It's just an absolute windstorm out there right now. Is you just slowly increase the level. You're at 2, come, tap, food, and let the dog get distracted. And just stay at 2 for a bit, and then increase to 3 and increase to 4. This, again, is with an e-collar technologies remote. This does not work with a cheap collar because this could, like with a cheap one, it might have 100 individual levels and vibration and tone. We're using the stimulation because we're trying to use it like leash pressure. You can't use vibration like leash pressure if there's one level of vibration. You can't use tone as anything other than a startling sound, which your dog eventually just goes, I don't care about that thing. Having 100 individual levels that are actually 100 individual levels that feel more like a muscle stimulator and less like a very narrow, sharp sensation. You want to know that 100 individual levels are an individual level versus the cheap ones from China that are $60. 3 can feel like 100. 4 can feel like 100 out of 100 levels. They go off randomly. You don't want to have a cheap collar. Use a link in the description. It's an affiliate link, but that's not why I use this brand. It's because it's the best unit. It's the best company with the best warranty. You want to use the best tool if you're going to do this properly. This can take 2 weeks. The longest I've ever seen it take is 3 weeks, and they just really took their time before they started hitting the button. Phases 5, they started probably a week in. That would probably be the average, is like 4 to 7 days into the process. But if you want to condition your dog to an e-collar, just check out this video right here and reach out if you need more help. Know that you're loved. Bye, meow.